Let me tell you something most people run from. Happiness is a discipline. It's not an accident. It's not luck. It's not tied to your bank account, the weather, or how people treat you. Happiness is a choice, a battle you fight for every single day, especially when life turns its back on you, especially when you're in the storm. The world won't hand you joy on a silver platter. You must get up and take it. You must command your mind to align with strength, not weakness. And that takes work. Every day when your feet hit the ground, you face a decision. Will you control your attitude or let your circumstances control it for you? That question determines everything. When life is hard, the lazy mind looks for pity. The powerful mind looks for purpose. You can't afford to let pain define your reality. Pain is a signal, not a sentence. The moment you allow outside chaos to dictate your inner world, you lose your power. And when you lose your power, you lose your peace. You think strength is built in comfort? No. Strength is forged in the fires of difficulty. Discipline your thoughts when you're tired. Focus your spirit when you're hurting. Smile when it feels unnatural. That smile is not fake, it's fuel. Push yourself to smile, not because life is easy, but because you're stronger than what you're going through. If you wait for life to get better before you decide to be happy, you'll be waiting forever. Stop waiting. Start becoming. There will be days you feel broken, days you want to disappear, days where joy feels like a foreign language. But listen, those are the exact days that define you. That's when you either dig deeper or give up. You want peace? Build it brick by brick in the dark. You want joy? Create it when the world says you shouldn't have it. That's power. That's resilience. That's what separates the average from the unstoppable. You don't need permission to be happy. You don't need everything to be perfect. What you need is standards. High mental standards. High emotional standards. No matter what comes, you rise, not because life is fair, but because you've trained your mind to rise anyway. That's what warriors do. That's what leaders do. That's what you were meant to do. The moment you let someone else's actions determine your joy, you hand them the keys to your soul. Take them back. You control what lives in your head. You control what runs through your heart. Stop feeding your pain. Start feeding your vision. Stop repeating the story of what hurt you. Start writing the story of how you overcame it. Talk like someone with power. Think like someone with purpose. Walk like someone who knows happiness is an act of will, not wish. Every morning repeat this: today I choose strength. Today I choose joy. Today I rise no matter what. Say it until your spirit obeys it. Say it until your attitude is unbreakable. There's no time to be soft. The world is heavy. But you are heavier. You are forged in the fire for this very moment. It's your job to remind yourself daily, life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. Happiness isn't a prize. It's a product of your mindset, produced by effort, discipline, and vision. If you do it every day, especially when it's hardest, especially when no one's clapping, especially when you're hurting, you'll wake up one day and realize happiness is not something you chased. It's something you became. Happiness is not found. It is built. It is not a treasure you stumble upon while wandering aimlessly through life. It is not a magical emotion that appears when the conditions are perfect, when the sun shines and people praise you. It is not given by others, nor granted by fate. Happiness is forged, brick by brick, step by step, thought by thought. It is the result of inner construction, not outer coincidence. The moment you wait to feel good before you act right, you've already lost. Because happiness is not the reward for action. It is the result of daily discipline. It is earned in silence, in struggle, in solitude. And that's what most people refuse to accept. People wait for better days, but the strongest minds create better days. While the average man looks at circumstances, the uncommon man shapes his response. You don't control what happens around you, but you damn well control how you interpret it. And that interpretation is the foundation of your emotional life. You want to feel peace? Then think peace. You want to feel alive? Then act with purpose. No one is going to feel it for you. No one is going to carry your mindset on their back. You either build yourself or break yourself. There is no middle ground. Every single morning you wake up, life hands you a choice. Stay where you are or rise. Give in or grow. Wait for happiness or create it with blood and belief. The truth is, happiness requires effort. Not once, not occasionally. Every single day, you must fight for joy. You must train for peace. Because when the world pushes you down, your default reaction will either destroy you or drive you. And that default is built by repeated focus. You either train your mind to push through or you train your mind to fold. When life gets hard, and it will, your habits will speak louder than your motivation. And your habits are shaped by what you practice, not what you wish for. Too many people wait to feel good before they do good. That's weakness disguised as logic. You don't wait to be inspired. You move with discipline, and inspiration follows you. Happiness is not something you chase. It is something you generate. It flows from within, not from outside. If you wait for someone else to change so you can feel free, you've handed over your power. You have one shot at this day, and no matter what happened yesterday, no matter who hurt you, who betrayed you, who ignored you, it's your mind, your mood, your life. You want happiness? Build it. When you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you don't see results, that's the test. That's the moment your future is being carved. When you want to shut down, but you show up anyway. When you feel empty inside, but you speak power into your soul anyway. That's not fake. That's courage. That's strength. That's the real you showing up. The people who win in life don't win because they had it easy. They win because they decided every day to push forward. They decided every day to align their emotions with their mission, not their misery. You don't get to opt out of this. If you want happiness, then demand it from yourself. Set the tone. Set the standard. Act with courage. Smile with intention. Think with clarity. And don't wait for people to understand it. This is not about being understood. This is about becoming unshakable. Hard times are the gym for the soul. You either lift or you collapse. You either grow through pain or shrink from it. And in that pain is where the seeds of true joy are planted. The kind of joy that can't be stolen by disappointment. The kind of joy that isn't shaken by failure. The kind of joy that belongs to you because you earned it. You showed up when you had every excuse not to. You stood tall when life tried to make you small. You kept your vision clear when the fog rolled in. That's how builders think. And that's how winners live. When the day begins, speak with strength. Today I lead my mind. Not I hope I feel better. Not I'll wait and see how it goes. No, you lead. You take charge. You set the emotional thermostat. If life turns cold, you heat up from within. If people go silent, you speak to yourself louder. If the day feels heavy, you carry it with posture and pride. That's how you keep momentum. That's how you keep power. You don't get distracted by drama. You don't retreat because of delay. You keep building. Even when nothing around you seems to be working, you keep building. Even when your body is tired and your spirit is low, you keep building. Because you're not here to survive the day, you're here to conquer it. And not with ego, but with energy, with discipline, with gratitude. You're not here to be like everyone else. You're here to prove what happens when a human being chooses joy on purpose, over and over again, not because life is easy, but because life is short, and you refuse to waste it living weak. And when others see you smile through struggle, they'll wonder what your secret is. But you'll know there's no secret. Just daily, brutal, beautiful self-leadership. Just refusing to let circumstances decide your spirit. Just choosing every single time to push yourself into the strongest, highest version of you. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's right. Because happiness is not found, it is built. And you are the builder. You must command your emotional state daily. Never beg for it. You were not born to be at the mercy of your moods or held hostage by the chaos around you. You were built with power, not to be ruled by feelings, but to rule them. The moment you beg for peace, for clarity, for motivation, you've already placed your strength in the hands of something else. And when your strength belongs to something outside of you, it can be taken from you at any moment. That is not freedom. That is emotional slavery. And most people live that way without even knowing it. Their emotions decide their actions, their fears shape their words, and their feelings dictate their future. But not you, not anymore. You don't get to say, I don't feel like it when your mission is on the line. You don't get to shrink when pressure shows up, because pressure is not your enemy, it's your proving ground. You must rise no matter what you feel. You must train yourself to lead from the front, even if your knees are shaking. That is real control. That is what separates the weak from the unshakable. When your emotions are running wild, it is your duty to stop the chaos, take a breath, and remind yourself, I am in charge here. Not my pain, not my fear, not my doubt, me, my decisions, my standards, my thoughts, my posture, my focus. I choose what lives in my mind, and I will not rent space to weakness. Every morning when you wake up, there is a war taking place before your feet hit the ground. Your mind wants to slip into comfort. Your feelings want to guide you back to the past, and your doubt wants to whisper that you aren't enough. But you are not a victim of those thoughts. You are the captain. You either take control or get controlled. You either build the day or the day breaks you. So don't wait for motivation to show up. Don't ask for peace. Don't hope for strength. Command it. Stand in the mirror and speak it into existence, not once, not for a few days, but every day, until your inner world obeys you. Your emotions must not be dictators. They must be trained soldiers. They take orders from your mind, not the other way around. If your emotions are leading, you will break when life gets heavy. But if your mindset is leading, nothing can bend you. People will test you. Delays will test you. Loss will test you. But you will remain centered because your emotions do not make your decisions. You do. You don't need to feel good to act right. You need to act right to feel good. And that is the secret the average man never learns. He keeps waiting. Waiting for a good day, waiting to feel inspired, waiting for someone to lift him. And while he waits, his life stays still. But the one who commands his emotions, he moves mountains. You want power? Control your state. You want peace? Guard your mind. You want joy? Plant it in discipline. Stop blaming the world for how you feel. Stop giving people permission to wreck your peace. Take back your authority. Remind yourself that no matter what happens today, you decide what it means. That power is not given. It is claimed. And if you claim it, truly claim it, no external storm can shake you. You will bend, but you won't break. You will bleed, but you won't quit. Because every time life tries to drag you into weakness, you rise with conviction and say, I answer to something higher than how I feel. I answer to who I choose to be. You must build the discipline of emotional strength like a soldier sharpens his blade. You must wake up each morning before the world can invade your mind and lock in your direction. Your attitude is not automatic. It is installed, or it is programmed. It is trained. And training means repetition. Repetition when it's boring. Repetition when it's painful. Repetition when you want to walk away. That's how warriors are formed. That's how minds become unbreakable. And if you want to rise above your feelings, you must work harder than your emotions do. There will be moments when nothing feels right, when fear screams and doubt whispers. That's when you speak louder. That's when you lean in. That's when you don't just survive, you command. Command your presence, command your thoughts, command your breath. Not in arrogance, but in clarity. Because the moment you surrender your emotions to luck or outside approval, you weaken your spirit. And weak spirits don't lead. They follow. They crumble. But you are here to lead your life. You are here to become the kind of person who walks into fire with a calm mind and a strong heart. The storms of life will keep coming. You can't stop the wind, but you can control your sail. And that sail is your state. Command it. Don't just react to life. Respond with purpose. Respond with focus. Respond with force. Because you didn't come this far to be emotionally unstable. You didn't endure everything you've endured just to be led by fleeting feelings. You came here to master yourself. And that begins the moment you stop begging to feel better and decide to lead yourself better. Push past comfort. Rise through resistance. And never again let your emotions pull you away from the man or woman you were born to become. You are not here to hope. You are here to command. Adversity is life's invitation to grow. Respond with joy, not complaint. Every struggle, every setback, every loss that shakes your world is not here to break you. It is here to build you. It is not a curse, but a call. A call to rise, to evolve, to sharpen the edges of your spirit against the grindstone of difficulty. Most people waste their pain. They complain, they blame, they retreat, they ask, why me? As if life has singled them out for suffering. But what they don't see is that adversity is not personal. It is purposeful. It comes for everyone, but only a few will use it. Only a few will see it as the furnace that forges greatness. And in reading this, you are one of those few. You are not here to fold. You are here to respond with joy. That joy is not fake. It is not forced. It is not some empty grin pasted over a broken heart. It is a choice, a weapon. It is the decision to stand in the storm with your head high and your purpose intact. It is the refusal to let difficulty drag your energy into darkness. You don't need to enjoy the pain, but you must embrace the growth. You must meet adversity with a mindset so strong that it shocks the world. While others crumble, you stand tall. While others curse the test, you say, good, now I rise. Complaints are easy. Joy is discipline. Anyone can whine. Anyone can point fingers, explain why life is unfair, why things should be easier. But those who achieve real transformation don't have time for pity. They don't have space in their minds for weakness. They use every hit as a spark. They turn pain into focus. They turn loss into fuel. They turn delays into deeper drive. And that transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens through daily decisions. The decision to respond with joy is not soft. It is not naive. It is one of the hardest choices you will ever make. But it is also the most powerful. Adversity will strip away the surface. It will reveal what you're really made of. It will show you the truth, not of the world, but of yourself. And what you find in that reflection is up to you. Will you find a person crushed by circumstances? Or will you find a warrior rising from the ashes, eyes clear, fists clenched, heart unshaken? Because that's what you are, if you choose to be. Every challenge is asking you one question: how strong are you willing to become? And every time you answer with joy, with action, with discipline, you become someone that difficulty cannot defeat. There's a kind of person adversity cannot handle, a person who doesn't flinch, who doesn't stall, who doesn't whine, moan, or wait for someone else to fix it, a person who faces the fire and walks through it. That person lives inside of you, but it will only emerge if you stop using your voice to complain and start using it to command. Command your energy, command your thoughts, command your response. You may not control the pain, but you always control the perspective. Start seeing adversity as your training ground, your opportunity to sharpen mental muscles. The heavier the weight, the stronger you become. The deeper the hole, the greater the rise. Every hard day is shaping your future victories. Every delay is teaching you patience. Every loss is building humility. Every betrayal is sculpting wisdom. These are not just wounds, they are weapons in disguise. The world will never stop testing you. But that's not a problem, that's the point. Life will keep handing you storms until you learn how to become the calm inside them. You must stop seeing problems as interruptions. They are the path. The obstacle is not in the way, it is the way. But only if you see it that way. Only if you stop resisting what life is teaching and start leaning into it. This is not about staying positive for the sake of appearances. It's about developing a mind so powerful that you respond with purpose to anything life throws at you. That kind of strength is rare. That kind of mindset doesn't complain, it commands, it creates, it constructs the future brick by unbreakable brick. You are being molded for something greater. And molding always comes with pressure, but pressure is a privilege. Diamonds are not made in comfort. Leaders are not made in ease. Purpose is not born in applause, it is born in adversity. You are being prepared, and the pain you feel is not a sign to stop. It's a signal to build. So respond with joy, not because the process is pleasant, but because the result is worth it. Respond with joy because that's how champions respond. That's how warriors rise. That's how legends are made. When adversity shows up again, and it will, smile at it. Not because you love the fight, but because you love who you become through it. That smile is not weakness. It is your strength revealed. It is your silent declaration that nothing outside you can ever defeat what lives inside you. This is your time. This is your moment. You've complained long enough. You've questioned long enough. Now respond, and not with fear, not with retreat. Respond with power. Respond with clarity. Respond with joy. Because adversity is not here to end you. It is here to elevate you. Discipline creates happiness, especially when it's hardest, when the world feels like it's falling apart, when you have every reason to quit, when the excuses sound louder than your goals. That is when discipline becomes the doorway to peace. Not motivation, not inspiration, not luck. Discipline. Because discipline doesn't rely on feelings. It doesn't care whether you're tired, broken, or uninspired. It moves anyway. And that movement builds momentum. That momentum builds confidence. And confidence, grounded in consistent action, builds happiness that isn't shaken by circumstance. In the middle of chaos, discipline gives you control. In the storm, discipline is your anchor. When your emotions scream to react, to hide, to surrender, discipline tells you to rise. It tells you to move. It tells you to keep showing up, especially when you don't feel like it. Most people break under pressure not because they lack talent, but because they lack self-command. They wait to feel good to act right, but the ones who win, the ones who live in joy, don't wait. They decide. They act on principle. They build systems that function even when their heart feels heavy. And that's where happiness begins, not in comfort, but in consistency. You don't become strong by doing what's easy. You don't become joyful by avoiding discomfort. You become both by confronting the difficult with unshakable commitment. Discipline is choosing what's right over what's easy. It's saying no when the world says indulge. It's holding the line when the mind screams to quit. Every time you stay focused, stay honest, stay hungry, you carve a deeper sense of respect for yourself. And that respect breeds self-trust. That self-trust breeds happiness. Not the kind that fades when circumstances change, but the kind that stays with you in silence, in darkness, in difficulty. Happiness built on results is fragile. Happiness built on discipline is bulletproof. Because results can vanish, people can disappoint you, the world can collapse. But your habits, your routine, your inner framework, that stays. And it carries you through. When others are consumed by doubt, you're busy executing. When others panic, you move with purpose, because you've trained for this. You've conditioned your mind to obey principle, not impulse. You don't rely on motivation, you rely on muscle memory, and that's what discipline is. It is the emotional muscle memory of greatness. Discipline is doing the workout when no one watches. It's studying while others scroll. It's choosing water over comfort food. It's controlling your tongue when anger rises. It's waking up with intention, not by accident. These small acts don't always feel rewarding in the moment, but over time they build a foundation so strong that nothing can shake it. You begin to feel peace because you're no longer betraying yourself. You begin to feel joy because you're no longer out of alignment. That's real happiness, earned, not given. When life punches you in the face, discipline is what gets you back up. It's the hand you extend to yourself. It says, I know this hurts, but we move anyway. That kind of voice inside you is not born overnight. It is built through repetition, through daily choices, through saying yes to growth and no to weakness, even when that weakness comes dressed as rest, as comfort, as harmless distraction. The greatest threat to your joy isn't pain. It's permission to stay average. The world will tell you to take it easy, to give yourself a break, to be softer. But that softness, when it becomes a pattern, turns into sorrow. Because nothing kills joy faster than unfulfilled potential. Nothing eats you alive like knowing you could have been more, but chose less. Discipline silences that regret before it starts. It builds you up when no one else will. It teaches you to rely on your actions, not your circumstances, for happiness. And that makes you unstoppable. You don't rise when everything is perfect. You rise because you decided that nothing will control your outcome. Not stress, not struggle, not failure. Discipline is your rebellion against chaos. It is your proof to the world that you will not be broken. It is the statement you make every day when you do the hard thing simply because it's the right thing. And when others watch, they'll think you're gifted, lucky, blessed. But you'll know the truth. You are disciplined, and that makes all the difference. In the face of fear, discipline gives you structure. When emotion clouds your mind, discipline cuts through like a blade. It gives you clarity. It gives you routine. It gives you a sense of stability when everything else is falling apart. And that stability brings happiness. Because you are no longer reacting to life, you are leading it. You are no longer controlled by the highs and lows. You are steady, grounded, strong, because your habits are solid, because your choices are aligned, because your standards are high. You don't have to love discipline to be transformed by it. You just have to do it, day after day, choice after choice. Until one day you realize that the same habits that once felt heavy now feel like freedom. and that freedom becomes joy. Not a fleeting feeling, but a foundation that holds you up through anything. You earned it, you built it, and no one can take it from you. Discipline creates happiness, especially when it's hardest, because that's when it means the most. No external force has power over your internal choice. Nothing outside of you, no failure, no rejection, no criticism, no loss, can dictate how you think, how you respond, or who you become unless you let it. The moment you surrender your mind to circumstance, you've given away the only true power you'll ever have. And that power is choice. Your ability to choose your focus, your thoughts, your beliefs, your next move, regardless of what's collapsing around you. That power is sacred. It is not for sale. It cannot be stolen. It can only be given up. And too many people give it up every single day without realizing what they've lost. They let opinions shape their worth. They let defeat define their identity. They let the noise of the world drown out the voice of their own mind. And as a result, they walk through life reacting, not creating, living as slaves to situations instead of commanders of their destiny. But the truth is this: no one has the power to ruin your day unless you grant them access. No event has the power to ruin your life unless you believe it can. No hardship has the power to break you unless you agree to stay broken. The battle is never out there. It is always in here, in the thoughts you accept, in the meaning you assign, in the story you tell yourself about what just happened. Your inner world builds your outer world. Your inner narrative controls your outer results. And when you choose to master what happens inside, there is nothing outside that can shake you. Pain will still come, pressure will still rise, but you won't be moved by it because your roots go deeper than the surface. Your values run deeper than emotions. Your principles stand stronger than panic. That's what real power is. Not the ability to control the world, but the refusal to let the world control you. People will try to test your peace. Situations will attempt to steal your clarity, but in every moment you hold the authority. You are not your feelings. You are not your mistakes. You are not your environment. You are the observer of all of that. You are the one who gets to decide what to amplify, what to eliminate, and what to embody. That decision is yours every single day. And it must be made consciously. If you don't choose your state, your environment will choose it for you. If you don't define your mindset, your mood will define it for you. If you don't lead yourself from within, you will be dragged by forces you'll never control. No storm has the right to steal your stillness. No setback has the right to rewrite your identity. No chaos has the right to overrule your character unless you hand it over. And that handover happens in moments of hesitation, when you forget who you are and start reacting instead of responding. But those moments are where transformation begins. Because once you become aware that the choice is always yours, you reclaim everything. You reclaim your time, your focus, your strength. You stop begging the world to be fair and start becoming someone who doesn't need fairness to flourish. Control doesn't mean everything goes your way. It means nothing can control your way of thinking. It means anchoring your spirit so deeply in discipline, clarity, and truth that even when the winds howl and the pressure mounts, your direction never changes. It means walking through betrayal with your head high. It means carrying purpose even when the applause fades. It means speaking strength into your soul when your circumstances scream weakness. It's not easy, but it's freedom. The kind of freedom no one can give you and no one can take from you. When you start living like this, everything changes. Your environment doesn't need to be perfect because you are becoming powerful. Your relationships stop defining your joy because you define your value. Your dreams stop being dependent on outside validation because you have decided to trust your own voice above all others. That internal shift is everything. That's when your life starts aligning with vision instead of emotion. That's when your time starts being shaped by intention instead of reaction. That's when your path becomes untouchable, not because it's smooth, but because you won't be moved. Never again say, "They made me angry." Never again say, "It ruined my day." Nothing and no one has that kind of power unless you give it away. Start speaking the truth to yourself. I decide what I think. I decide how I feel. I decide who I am no matter what happens. That mindset doesn't just create success. It creates peace. It creates joy. It creates a life that is led from within and built to last. Because when your choices are rooted in principles, not emotions, your foundation becomes unshakable. So the next time life tests you, remember this isn't happening to you. It's happening for you, to remind you of your power, to invite you back into leadership of your own mind, to wake you up from the illusion that your happiness is in anyone else's hands. It's not. It never was. It never will be. No external force has power over your internal choice. And that truth, once fully owned, makes you unstoppable. Every morning you either rise with intention or sink into excuses. There is no neutral ground. The moment your eyes open, you're either stepping into your day with purpose or surrendering to the same stories that have kept you stuck. Your first thoughts determine the entire tone of your day. That voice inside, whether strong or weak, sets the direction. If you begin with hesitation, you'll find yourself chasing the hours, apologizing to time, reacting to everything instead of leading anything. But if you begin with clarity, if you begin with conviction, if you begin by choosing discipline over comfort, you become unstoppable before the world even gets a chance to pull you down. Excuses are not harmless. They are thieves. They steal momentum, opportunity, and dignity. And they show up dressed as comfort, logic, and reason. They tell you to stay in bed a little longer, to put things off until tomorrow, to wait until you feel ready. But there is no such thing as ready. There is only willing. Willing to move before you're comfortable. Willing to lead yourself before you're certain. Willing to chase your purpose even when doubt screams louder than courage. The morning is your proving ground. That first hour determines whether you're in control or being controlled. If you don't seize it, it will seize you. The people who rise with intention are not different in their challenges. They still feel tired. They still feel fear. But they choose to act anyway. They command their environment before it commands them. They don't check their phones first. They check their minds. They don't wait to be inspired. They generate their fire. They set their standards before the day sets its traps. Because they understand one truth, if you don't set the tone for your day, the world will set it for you. And the world doesn't care about your potential. Rising with intention means declaring who you are and what you stand for before anything else has a say. It means getting ahead of your emotions, ahead of your doubts, ahead of the distractions that are waiting to pull you off course. It means owning your time before someone else owns it for you. It is not about perfection. It is about power. The power to lead your energy, your focus, your habits. That power doesn't come later in the day. It is born in those first few decisions, the ones no one sees, but everyone will feel in your results. If you start your morning dragging yourself out of bed, checking notifications, feeding on the noise of the world, don't be surprised when your day feels chaotic, heavy, and unfocused. You handed over your direction to things that don't serve you. But when you start with breath, with silence, with purpose, with movement, with vision, you become untouchable because you've already anchored yourself in something deeper than distraction. And from that place, everything changes. Your mind is clearer. Your words are sharper. Your choices are bolder. You don't need the world to be calm when you are calm inside. You don't need the path to be easy when you have already chosen to be strong. Excuses are not just about what you don't do. They are about what you allow to become your identity. Every time you let one pass, you tell your mind it's okay to be less than what you're capable of. You build a habit of hiding, and soon it becomes who you are. That's how people lose years, one excuse at a time. But when you rise with intention, you reclaim it all. You look in the mirror and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm building, this is where I'm going. And nothing will distract me from that. You don't have to feel like it. You don't have to have perfect conditions. You just have to decide. And that decision must be made every single morning. No one else will make it for you. No one else will force you to grow. No one else will stop you from staying average. It's on you. And that's a gift. Because once you accept that truth, no one can hold you back. Not your past, not your circumstances, not even in your own fear. Because fear loses its power when you show up anyway. Doubt dissolves when action takes over. Excuses disappear when identity leads. The strongest people are not the ones who had the easiest mornings. They are the ones who made the hardest choices consistently. The ones who set their alarms not just to wake up, but to rise up. The ones who prepared their minds like athletes prepare their bodies. The ones who refused to let a lazy feeling become a lazy life. Their strength was built in the silence of early hours, when no one was watching and every part of them wanted to hit snooze. That's where champions are made, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows of disciplined mornings. So ask yourself, what are you rising for? What is the mission that pulls you out of bed? What is the standard you refuse to drop? What is the legacy you're building one morning at a time? Because whether you realize it or not, your life is being shaped by your mornings. They are either building the future you crave or burying it beneath excuses. And the choice is always yours. Every single day, without fail, the clock resets. And when it does, you either rise with intention or you sink into excuses. Your thoughts create your emotional atmosphere. Master them. The moment you allow a thought to enter unchecked, you invite it to build your reality. Every emotion you feel, every reaction you give, every decision you make is shaped by the thoughts you entertain. Thoughts are not harmless. They are seeds. And those seeds grow into beliefs, into moods, into identity. If your mind is filled with fear, your world will feel unsafe. If your mind is filled with doubt, your life will feel stuck. But if your mind is focused, intentional, and clear, you will find strength in places others collapse. You cannot afford to treat thoughts casually. One negative pattern repeated often enough becomes your truth. One doubt entertained long enough becomes your limitation. Your emotional state is not a mystery, it is a mirror. It reflects what you've been thinking, what you've been feeding your mind, what you've allowed to take root. And most people don't realize they're running on autopilot. They wake up anxious not because of reality, but because their thoughts are undisciplined. They react with anger not because of others, but because their inner dialogue is aggressive. They feel hopeless, not because there's no path forward, but because their thoughts keep telling them they're not enough. You are not what you feel. You are what you think repeatedly. And if you want to feel different, you must think different. You must take control of your inner world like a general leads his army. No emotion without reason, no thought without inspection, no mental pattern without purpose. Your mind is a battlefield, and your thoughts are your soldiers. If you don't give them orders, they will run wild. And wild thoughts never lead to peace. They lead to chaos, confusion, emotional exhaustion. But mastered thoughts create clarity, direction, and a state of calm power. That's not a gift. That's a discipline. You cannot let every thought become a tenant in your mind. Some thoughts are invaders. Some are thieves. Some come from fear, from the past, from people who projected their limits onto you. And just because a thought shows up doesn't mean it belongs. You must become the gatekeeper of your mind. Stand at the door, alert and intentional. Ask every thought, who sent you? What do you want from me? Do you serve my purpose or do you weaken my focus? If the thought doesn't build you, it has no right to stay. Mastering your thoughts doesn't mean you'll never have dark ones. It means you don't believe them, you don't feed them. You don't let them steer your day or stain your vision. The strongest people have dark thoughts too. They just don't let them lead. They've trained themselves to pivot, to interrupt the pattern, to replace the lie with truth. They don't just think, they observe their thinking. And that awareness is where freedom begins. You can't change what you're not aware of. But once you see the pattern, once you name the thought, you weaken its grip, and then you replace it with something stronger. Gratitude is a weapon, vision is a weapon, truth is a weapon, and you must use these every single day to fight for the mind you want. Don't expect peace if you're constantly rehearsing chaos. Don't expect joy if your inner talk is full of resentment. Don't expect clarity if your thoughts are drenched in distraction. You have to build the emotional atmosphere you want to live in, one thought at a time, one moment at a time. Repetition is the key, not once, not twice, daily, until the right thoughts become automatic, until your mind becomes a place you can trust. You will never rise above the quality of your thoughts. They are the ceiling or the wings of your potential. And the world will try to fill your head with noise, with fear, with urgency, with lies. That's why you need a mental filter, something that protects you from absorbing what doesn't belong to your mission. You have to choose what you allow in, because once it's in, it will grow. That's how it works. Focus on pain, and pain expands. Focus on purpose, and purpose expands. Focus on growth, and growth expands. It's not magic, it's mental alignment. And once you lock into that, everything begins to shift. You don't need to feel amazing all the time, but you do need to think with clarity all the time, Feelings follow thoughts, always. You start thinking about everything that's wrong, your feelings drop. You start thinking about everything that's possible, your energy lifts. This is not about fake positivity. It's about mental leadership. You are the leader of your mind, and leadership requires responsibility. You must be responsible for the tone, the language, the focus of your thinking. You must treat your thoughts like assets, not accidents. Your emotional atmosphere affects how you speak, how you walk, how you treat others, how you face challenges, how you interpret opportunity. And every piece of it starts with the quality of your thoughts. If you want to feel empowered, you must think empowered. If you want to feel hopeful, you must think with vision. If you want to feel calm, you must think with order. This is the real work, the silent work, the daily, unglamorous internal war. But if you win it, everything else becomes easier. It's not about eliminating every negative thought. It's about creating an environment where they can't thrive, where your dominant patterns are so strong, so intentional, so clear that negativity cannot take root. You become unshakable, not because you never wobble, but because your mind always returns to center, always returns to purpose, always returns to truth. And that is the power of a mastered mind. That is the source of emotional control. That is the secret most people ignore. Your thoughts create your emotional atmosphere. Master them. No one is coming to save you from misery. It's your duty to rescue yourself. If you're waiting for someone to notice your struggle, waiting for a break, waiting for life to get easier, you're already surrendering your power. Misery doesn't dissolve on its own. It deepens when ignored. And the longer you wait for someone else to pull you out, the deeper the roots of helplessness grow. No one knows the full weight you carry. No one sees every sleepless night, every silent scream, every moment you pretend you're fine. So stop expecting a rescue. No one is more qualified to pull you out than you. The moment you take ownership of your emotional state, you begin the climb. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it feels unfair. But the truth is, no one else can do this for you. They can support, they can encourage, but they cannot crawl inside your mind and change how you think. They cannot inject you with discipline. They cannot force you to fight. That decision is yours, and yours alone. The people who transform their lives are not the ones with the easiest paths. They're the ones who finally said, enough, I'm not staying here. They realize that misery may not be their fault, but healing is their responsibility. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to start. Start taking one honest action that moves you out of your current state. Get up and move your body, even when you're tired. Speak truth to your pain, even when it shakes your voice. Cut off the excuses that protect your comfort zone. Turn off the noise that feeds your doubts. This is not about pretending life is fine. It's about refusing to stay stuck. You have the capacity to change, but capacity means nothing without decision. And decision means nothing without action. This life will test you. It will strip away illusions. It will put you face to face with your lowest moments. And in those moments, the question is not who will help me. It's will I help myself? Will you be the person who rises even when broken? Will you be the one who speaks light into darkness even when you can't see the end? You don't need outside permission to begin healing. You don't need anyone's validation to rebuild your mindset. You just need the courage to face yourself without lies, the strength to sit in discomfort without quitting, and the vision to believe something better is on the other side, even if no one else sees it yet. No one sees the war you fight within, but you do. You know the thoughts that try to drown you. You know the habits that keep you numb. You know the patterns that repeat until you scream. And because you see it, you have the power to change it. Misery is not just emotional. It becomes behavioral. It becomes a cycle. And cycles don't break with time. They break with choice. Brutal, honest, repeated choice. You have to be relentless with the version of yourself that wants to stay broken. That version may have a voice, but it doesn't get a vote. You're the one who decides who you become from this point forward. Waiting is the slow death of potential. Every day you delay owning your power, you're reinforcing weakness. You are teaching yourself that rescue is external when it has always been internal. Stop scrolling for answers. Stop numbing yourself with distractions. Stop believing the lie that you're not capable. You are not helpless. You are powerful. But power must be claimed. It's not handed to you. It's forged through decisions no one sees, through inner work no one applauds, through persistence no one understands. This is your rescue mission, and the only person equipped for it is the one in the mirror. Let others live in denial. Let others drown in excuses. You are not others. You are here because something in you knows that your life isn't meant to be endured. It's meant to be shaped. And the chisel is your mindset. The hammer is your discipline. The blueprint is your vision. Misery only has power when you stop building. So build, especially when it's hardest. Build when you're tired. Build when no one believes in you. Build when the voice in your head tells you it's pointless. Because that's the voice that's lied to you long enough. And you owe it to yourself to stop listening. Self-rescue doesn't mean you never fall. It means you rise every time. It means you train yourself to respond with action instead of avoidance, with courage instead of fear, with direction instead of doubt. Misery wants you to remain passive, but you were not built to be passive. You were built to move, to lead, to rise. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a relentless will. You need a reason so strong it silences every excuse. And if you haven't found that reason yet, look in the mirror. Your future self is begging you not to quit. There is no white horse coming, no perfect moment arriving. There is only now, and what you choose to do with it. You can scroll, you can sit, you can wish, or you can act. You can take ownership of your energy. You can rewire your thoughts. You can take one hard step today, then another tomorrow. And one day you'll look back and realize you didn't just survive the misery. You outgrew it. You turned it into momentum. You turned your breakdown into breakthrough. That is what happens when you stop waiting for someone else to save you. That is what happens when you become your own rescue. Choose gratitude even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because that's the very moment when your mind wants to break, when your emotions spiral into darkness, when your heart tightens around pain instead of purpose. And that is exactly when gratitude becomes your most powerful weapon. Not the kind of shallow gratitude that lists surface-level things to feel better, but the kind that rips through your excuses and reminds you, you are still here. You are still capable. You are still breathing. And as long as you are breathing, you have the power to choose how you respond to life. Gratitude is not a reward for the comfortable. It is a discipline for the warriors. Anyone can be grateful when everything's working. But your true strength is revealed when nothing makes sense, when everything hurts, and yet you still whisper, thank you. Thank you for the chance to fight. Thank you for the challenge that's forcing me to grow. Thank you for the pain that's showing me where I'm still soft, still weak, still unfinished. This is not delusion, it's decision. The decision to stop waiting for perfect conditions to appreciate your life. The decision to stop defining your worth by what's missing and start seeing what's possible through struggle. You must train yourself to see differently, to look at the wreckage and find a reason to rebuild, to face the chaos and declare there is still something here for me. Because if you don't, if you only allow yourself to be grateful when it's easy, you'll live in constant emotional debt. Waiting, longing, blaming, chasing feelings instead of creating strength. Real gratitude doesn't just shift your focus, it resets your entire nervous system. It changes your posture. It transforms victimhood into victory. It helps you override the story that says, this is the end, and write a new one that says, this is where I begin again. You don't need more time to be thankful. You need more truth. The truth is, you've survived everything up to this point. The truth is, you're more resilient than you think. The truth is, even if the world forgets you, you have the power to remember yourself. Gratitude reminds you of your worth when life tries to bury it. Gratitude shows you the light when your mind shows you darkness. Gratitude is not weakness. It is rebellion against defeat. You can be broken and grateful at the same time. You can cry and still say thank you. That's what makes you unshakable. Stop waiting to feel ready. Start practicing it now, in the pain, in the exhaustion, in the silence no one else hears. Gratitude is a muscle, and if you don't use it, it atrophies. But if you do, if you force yourself to see even the smallest gain, the tiniest victory, the briefest spark of growth, you will become a different person. A person who doesn't just survive storms, but learns to dance inside them. a person who bends but doesn't break, who bleeds but never bows. Because gratitude, when chosen under fire, becomes your shield, your sword, and your sanity. You don't owe the world happiness, but you owe yourself the discipline to find power in the chaos. And gratitude is power. It is clarity. It is energy. You think it's soft, but it's steel. It keeps your mind from crumbling when pressure mounts. It keeps your spirit from rotting in self-pity. It wakes you up when you want to shut down. And it gives you control over the only thing you ever truly own, your attitude. You can't always control pain. You can't always fix problems right away, but you can control your perception. And the most powerful perception is this: there is something in this moment to be grateful for, and I will find it. Pain is a liar. It tells you that nothing good is left, that hope is gone, that this is the end. Gratitude tells the truth. It whispers, look closer. Look at the breath in your lungs. Look at the fight still in your soul. Look at how far you've already come. You've overcome things that once felt impossible. You've buried versions of yourself that no longer served you. You've stood up after being knocked down more times than you can count. Gratitude helps you see the full picture, not just the wound, but the warrior, not just the loss, but the lesson, not just the pain, but the path through it. You don't practice gratitude because life is always good. You practice it because you are determined to get stronger. You practice it because you refuse to let circumstances dictate your inner world. You practice it because no matter how dark it gets, you believe somewhere deep inside that you were made for more than just surviving. You were made to rise, and rise again, and rise again. Gratitude is your anchor in that rise. It keeps you grounded while the storm rages. It keeps you centered when everything else spins. Don't wait for someone to hand you joy. Don't wait for your environment to change before you change your state. Gratitude is the switch. It turns pain into perspective. It turns chaos into clarity. It turns wounds into wisdom. You may not control what breaks around you, but you can absolutely control what builds within you. So choose gratitude, not once, not someday, every single time it hurts. Because when it hurts, and you still choose gratitude, you're not just surviving, you're conquering. So let this be the day you stop negotiating with your pain and start commanding your power. No more waiting for peace to arrive, you bring it. No more searching for joy, you generate it. No more hoping for the right moment. You declare this moment as the right one. Gratitude is not a feeling you stumble into. It is a choice you forge in the fire. And the harder life gets, the louder your gratitude must become. Because that's how you win, not once, not temporarily, but permanently. You become unbreakable, not because life gets easier, but because you get sharper, clearer, stronger. While others react, you respond. While others sink, you rise. So every day when it hurts most, when you feel least like it, choose gratitude. Choose strength. Choose to push yourself forward with purpose. That's how happiness is built, not found, not given, built by you. Starting now,